Hey guys, Icy Cat here, and today we're going to be talking about the list of new changes from the Road to Montreal event that were just announced. I had the honor of being one of the 10 community members invited to participate in this experience. It was a full week of heavy playtesting, grueling focus groups, and in-depth meetings for 9 hours a day. We gave them tons of feedback, and now along with the rest of you, we get to find out which changes the developers put into place as a direct result of that feedback. We're also going to touch on details for the beta that were revealed as well. Let's begin with the beta details, as that's coming up right away next week. This graphic began popping up on European websites and Twitter feeds earlier today, specifically Spanish-speaking ones. As you can see, it has a consistent design and look of other graphics created for Siege so far. It should be noted that no official announcement has been made regarding beta content from Ubisoft so far, so this should be taken with a grain of salt, and anything in here could be subject to change. We'll have 3 maps to play on: House, Hereford Base, and Consulate. Each map will be playable in both day and night variations. We'll also be able to play any of those maps in both PvP or co-op terrorist hunt. For the player versus player modes, we have Secure Area and Bomb Defusal available. We've all seen plenty of Secure Area footage all summer, but this will be the first time in public that we'll get the chance to see the Bomb Defusal in PvP. We really enjoyed it when we got the chance to play it, and I think you will too. Terrorist Hunt will also be new for everyone, as this time it's in Classic mode. This is just a straight up kill all the bad guys mode, and no other objectives in play. Some things have been changed since the last time I played it though, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It sounds like ranking, leveling, and unlocks will be in to a certain degree also. This is one thing I really don't know much about other than a vague outline of the structure, so I'm really excited to see how it's all set up. The other interesting news about the beta is the operators. While we'll have all of the GIGN and all of the GSG9 operators, we're missing Ash and Castle from the FBI, Thatcher from SAS, and Tachanka from Spetsnaz, even though they were all seen publicly before. This seems a little strange, and I'm honestly unsure what the reasoning behind this is. I'm very excited to see the entire German team here though, and this will be everyone's first chance to see IQ played publicly for the first time. So let's get into the first of the changes that was announced: the removal of flash, stun, and smoke grenade indicators. When playing the game, we felt like the grenades were only useful for flushing an enemy out. You'd always get this obvious icon indicator that not only told you what grenade was headed your way, but a specific icon even told you what kind it was, in what direction it landed, and how far away from you it was. Grenades were simply not a threat. No one ever just got killed by them, and flashes and stuns were simply run away from until they safely detonated, and then you could fall back into the position you were again and resume what you were doing. We felt this completely took away the purpose of using grenades as a tactical tool. We wanted this to apply to all of the grenades, but it looks like the indicators will be left on for frag grenades. I'll take 3 out of 4 though. We really didn't realize that grenades could be cooked in order to make them unavoidable, nor did we know that they could be thrown back. While these are valid tactics to employ, I still think that not having indicators for frags as well is the better option, and by launch there will be a custom server option to disable even the frag indicators. This is great because it makes grenades dangerous again, as they should be. Also, the GSG9 operator Jaeger, first seen at Gamescom, will now be more useful with his anti-grenade device. The mechanic of non-lethal grenade indicators being removed will be in effect for the upcoming beta tests, so we'll all get to try it out and see what we think. Another thing that we all felt pretty strongly about was that the Riot shield was simply too overpowered. True, you could just hit their legs, but when we played against each other in Montreal, we were smart enough to always walk around crouched with the shield fully up, leaving almost no surface area to hit, unless they managed to get themselves flanked. Flanking a shield is really easy in a game like Call of Duty, where movement is fast and the environments are far more open and expansive. In Rainbow Six, everything is CQB and closed-in spaces. Flanking isn't as easy when there's less open room. Also, movement in general is much slower than a game like COD, especially if you're a heavy operator like Tachanka or Doc or someone like that. Additionally, pistols in this game aren't bad, especially considering 3 shots or so is all it takes to drop someone. Plus, keep in mind, defenders aren't allowed to take frag grenades, and only 2 or 3 of the defenders can even take a nitro cell. So if 7 or 8 of your 10 choices don't give you an option for explosives, there's no way to reliably counter them using that technique either due to the predefined loadout restrictions. I'm not saying it isn't possible to deal with shield operators, but due to the unique mechanics, environment, and movement speeds of a game like Rainbow Six, it's just much harder in some ways than it is in other games to counter them, especially if they stay crouched. You could ADS with the shield up, combining maximum protection with maximum accuracy. Now, with the new changes, you have to decide which is more important, accuracy or protection. Having both of them at once was just too powerful. If you want full protection with a shield, you get hipfire accuracy. If you want better accuracy, you have to leave yourself a little bit more vulnerable to do it. This will be available to try out during the beta as well. We look forward to trying this mechanic out and seeing if it balances everything like we hope it does. Keep in mind this was just a suggestion we had, so we didn't actually have a chance to try it out for ourselves set up this way, so we'll be experiencing it for the first time right along with you, even though it was kind of one of our suggestions. These next couple of changes are near and dear to my heart. As I've mentioned before on the forums and subreddit, the co-op and mission modes were the areas of feedback that I specifically was most passionate about. Since many of the people in our group were competitive or pro gamers, they were understandably more focused on the PvP aspects of the game. The non-PvP modes are where I dedicated a lot of my specific feedback. And here's just a couple of examples of that. To help make Terrorist Hunt even more challenging, they upped the count of maximum terrorists. Previously, it was a flat 20 enemy AI on a map for a mode like Terrorist Hunt Classic. We breezed through these no problem. It was just too easy, even on the hardest setting. You've all seen footage of bomb defusal on the consulate map from E3 by now, and that's pretty challenging. So what's the difference? More bad guys. When you trigger the bomb defusal, new waves of enemies come at you. The enemy count is much higher than 20, and so that mode is actually a challenge. I felt strongly that the enemy density needed to be increased in this version of Terrorist Hunt as well, and that it should change based on difficulty. Playing it on normal should result in a lower count, and the higher you ramp up the difficulty, the higher the density of enemies. Terrorist Hunt Classic will be available to play in the beta, and allow many people to get their hands on this mode for the first time. I think one of the things I was most vocal about though was that there were never any terrorists on the exterior grounds of the maps. Every now and then, somebody might run into a single guy, but that was literally it. I always felt safe when I was outside the building. I should never have giant sections of the map where I feel like I'm completely safe and don't have to worry about anything. Especially as some of these levels have as much as half of the surface area of the map outside the building, and all that space was going to waste. You've seen the approaches on maps like Consulate or Hereford Base. These are sprawling areas that should have some action happening in them. They said that AI can now spawn outside of the main building. Hopefully, this means that you'll actually start running into some real threats on the exterior grounds as you hunt them down and have to be just as wary of your approach as you are once you're inside. Something that won't be available in the beta but will be by launch is the change to the end of round win condition. If you watch any of the successful completions of the bomb defusal mode, you'll see that once the time runs out on the second bomb, you win. I advocated for a proper extraction so gameplay didn't hit such a brick wall. I want that feeling of completion, and it feels like I'm robbed of that if I'm just teleported to a win screen once the timer runs out, even though I'm surrounded by enemies and about to die when it happens. I don't know if extraction will wind up being a part of these changes or not at launch, but I'd certainly like to see it in. The excitement of having to fight your way back out to an exfiltration spot would give a far greater sense of completion. We'll see what they do with it at launch. Also, it's no longer called Terror Hunt. It's now been officially renamed to Terrorist Hunt, just like it's always been. This particular change was pretty strongly echoed by most of our group, but really, the community was clamoring for it in general at large. I know a lot of people were simply refusing to call it that, and now they don't have to worry about it anymore. It's back to Terrorist Hunt, just like it's always been in a Rainbow Six game. The heartbeat sensor is now apparently being called the cardiac sensor. Not sure where that change came from. That one had nothing to do with us. They talked about the longer warm-up time they gave the device, as well as making it function more like a sonar ping and losing the real-time tracking ability. I'm fine with the sonar ping, but the warm-up for the device feels a bit long when using it. I said it in another video already, but I think the answer to dealing with any balance issues related to the heartbeat sensor should come from a counter to it, rather than further weakening it. For instance, allowing IQ to detect the heartbeat sensor when it's active while using her electronics detector would be a neat counter tactic, and give the attackers a way to turn the tables on Pulse. Failing that, just restore the false heartbeat pucks as secondary gadgets from Raven Shield. You could even have them as an add-on to the drone so you could make them look like they were moving people or something. A slight damage buff of approximately 12% for shotguns has been put in. It depends a bit on which model you're using, but that's the average. They'll now deal higher damage at closer range like you would expect them to. Previously, they lacked that point-blank punch you would expect from a shotgun at close range. They're getting a slightly narrower cone of fire in exchange to help keep things balanced. Pistols will be a little more viable with a 10% damage increase on average at longer range. These changes will be in the beta test. What won't be in the beta test, but will be available for launch, however, are the custom match options. This is huge. So many popular community requests are present here. There's the obvious stuff, like choosing which map or time of day you'll play, and things you would expect, setting the number of rounds or how many overtime rounds there can be. You can change the player health or friendly fire percentages. You can change the duration of the preparation or action phases, too. Now, I'm not sure if you could technically set a preparation timer to 0 or not, but if you could, you would effectively remove the camera drone scouting and barricading. That would be interesting because it would give the game an almost team deathmatch feel in that both teams would start and more or less come into combat right away. That would be interesting to kind of mix things up once in a while if it lets you do it. But again, I don't know if the timer will let you set it to 0. A few other settings can be customized, like objective capture durations, and tweaks, as well as the ability to make the hostage able to be revived if downed, no revives if downed, or just outright invincible. The really big stuff, though, comes with many of the hardcore style custom options. You can now choose to disable the DBNO system so there are no revives. You can turn sprinting off, disable leaning if you want to, shut off the kill cam entirely, disable the HUD crosshair and other elements like the versus notifications, scoring updates, and even kill or reload indicators. Here we can disable that frag grenade indicator and actually have those become lethal again. Don't like the white arrow threat indicator that points out what direction shots are coming from that haven't even hit you? Turn it off. What about the teammate outlines? Do those bother you? Yeah, me too. Now we'll be able to shut off those as well. With all of these custom settings, we're able to set up the kinds of hardcore modes that many of us have been pushing for. The only thing I'm not seeing on this list that we pushed for was the ability to turn off the visible bullet trails. The devs made sure to let us know, though, that this is not a complete list of all the changes, only the ones they're able to share at this time, so a few other things are still going on behind the scenes. Keep in mind, as I said, these will not be available in the beta. These custom settings are projected to be available at launch. One of my favorite announcements to come out was that they let everybody know that all future map DLC will be free for everyone so as not to splinter the community between those that have new maps and those that don't. It's such a gamer-friendly position to take, and really refreshing to see Ubisoft get behind. We were made aware of the plans for DLC while we were out there, so I've known about this for a while, and I am thrilled that it's been officially announced for everybody else to know about now as well. I also wanted to take a moment and acknowledge that awesome video they put together. Sabrina, Jose, Kevy, and all the people on the production crew at Ubisoft Montreal do such a fantastic job. We loved the intro video they did to kick off the live stream event by our time out there, and the whole team, they just put together great stuff. The latest video is just amazing too, and I'm so honored to have been a part of it. A big thank you to everyone from Montreal Studio that invited us. I put together a little version of my own of that, kind of cobbling together the video they just released, as well as some of the previous ones in sort of a director's cut with my own added clips in there. You can see that down below at the video link here. Thank you to Jen and Chase for working so closely with the community and really reaching out more than any other developer I've ever seen. Thanks also to Xavier, Alex, and the rest of the senior core team for greenlighting the event and agreeing to invite us in and share all of this with us. Every single member of the dev team that we had the pleasure of meeting and interacting with welcomed us, and they just listened to everything we had to say. Guys, your time, candor, and collaboration meant so much. Thanks for letting us be a part of Rainbow Six. Thanks for listening to us. So now that the beta is almost upon us, on the next episode of In Depth, I'll be sharing with you my top 10 strategies for victory for the beta, 5 tips for getting the edge while attacking, and 5 tips to help you survive while defending. Now that'll drop next Tuesday the 22nd, so make sure to subscribe so you won't miss out on any of that info. So what do you guys think about the changes that have been announced? Which ones are your favorites? Anything you want to see put in that hasn't been talked about yet? Let's talk about it down below in the comments, or join us on the forum or subreddit to share your thoughts. If you like the in-depth videos, please like and subscribe to keep more new content coming and stay up to date on all the latest insights, news, and commentary for Rainbow Six Siege. Thanks for watching. See you next time.